Hey up everyone, welcome back to the Rugby League History channel. I hope you're all well and you're looking after yourself. Tonight's video is going to be part 8 of the Forgotten Rugby League team series. Tonight's team is going to be the Western Reds. So the Western Reds were founded on the 30th of November 1992 and they were due to start in the ARL competition in 1995. So they had just under 3 years to get everything in order, same as the North Queensland side. They had 3 years to get prepared, sign some players, get a coach. Now they signed Peter Mulholland as the head coach for the 1995 season, and they also signed the likes of Brad Mackay. They signed Mick Potter, Mark Geyer, Tim Horan, and they also signed Matt Rodwell, who was the Rookie of the Year a couple of years prior. Now, the Western Reds had a very interesting jersey. I actually think it was an alright jersey, and they had a good logo as well, but the jersey was like a white section here with like a black, a gold and a red up the top. It was kind of like in a horizontal shape, and they played their home matches at the Wacker Ground, which is also the home of cricket in Western Australia. Their first ever match was in round 1, 1995, and that was against St George in front of a record crowd at the Wacker Ground, which was 24,392 people went out and watched them play against St George, and they beat them 28 points to 16, which was a massive boil over back then, because believe it or not, St George were actually a pretty good team back then. So Western Reds got right off the mark with a record crowd and a good win. Now, out of all the other 3 expansion clubs that come in 1995, the Western Reds did better than all of them. They had an average crowd of 13,000 people, and they also won more games than all the expansion clubs as well. So they had a very good first year. Before the start of 1996, though, the club was in very, very bad financial turmoil, and if it wasn't for Rupert Murdoch's Sunday Times, which he owned, the club would have gone bankrupt. But the money that they got from the Sunday Times kept the club afloat, and then that became the sponsor on the front of the shirt, which overtook Cash Converters. Now in 1996, they didn't have such a great season. They finished 16th on the table, and they had an average crowd of 8,000 people, so their crowds kept going on the decline. And for some of the home matches, they were only getting about 5,000 or 6,000 people to the game. So interest in the club really died off in 1996. In 1997, Peter Mulholland wasn't the head coach anymore. The job went to Dean Lance, and the club finished 8th in a 10-team competition in the Super League. They also changed their name to the Perth Reds, as they're aligned with the Super League competition 2 years prior, but when the Super League competition started, they changed their name to Perth Reds. They also changed their jersey to a predominantly black and red jersey, which kind of looks similar to, you can see, a North Sydney kind of a jersey in the colour scheme of things. The club also signed Rodney Howe and Robbie Cairns, and they also had Matt Geyer in the team at that stage. As I said, they finished 8th in the competition. Their last ever match in the competition that year, which would turn out to be their last ever game, was against Canberra at the Wacker Ground, and they lost 36 points to 16. And most of those players that went on to go and play elsewhere, the majority of them went to Melbourne. So Melbourne got the majority of the Western Reds players. And so at the end of 1997, the club was 10 million Australian dollars in debt, and that was partly due to Western Reds had to pay for all the flights and to and from Perth for all the clubs travelling over. So that put them in a really, really bad financial state. 10 million Australian dollars in debt, and that was in 1997. And on the 1st of October, the club was officially shut down, which ended the Western Reds as a club. As I said, a lot of their players went to other clubs, but predominantly Melbourne got most of the Western Reds players. Now, the Western Reds, a lot of people wouldn't know this, but the club actually was resurrected in 2006, and they played in the lower grade competitions such as the Jim Beam Cup, which is now the Ron Massey Cup, and they also had a couple of junior teams competing in the New South Wales Rugby League competitions, but they didn't do particularly well. In 2011, the club was officially shut down again, and in 2012 a new club called the West Coast Pirates took over. And the West Coast Pirates, since 2012, have been looking to get back into the competition, into the National Rugby League competition. The West Coast Pirates have also been playing in the SG Ball competition, which is the under 16s, I believe, or under 18 competition in the New South Wales Rugby League. They haven't done particularly well. They've come last 4 times, but the 2022 expansion is still up for negotiation. You've got clubs from Queensland and you've got a couple of other bids, but I think West Coast Pirates they're going to be putting in a bid as well for that 2022 expansion team, so we'll have to wait and see where they go with that. Now with the Western Reds, their record appearance holder while they were in the competition was Matt Fuller. He made 59 appearances for the club, and the record point scorer was Chris Ryan. He finished with 210 points for the club, and he played in all 3 seasons. Now their record win was in 1997 when they defeated Canterbury Bankstown 34 points to 6. And their record loss was also against Canterbury Bankstown. They lost 42 points to 0 against Canterbury that time, and that was their worst ever loss. Julian O'Neill also holds a couple of records for the club. He got most tries in a match against Canterbury in that same match, 4 tries, and he also got the most points in a game for Western Reds in the same match. He got 26 points. So that's a very brief overview of the history of the Western Reds, another forgotten club. That concludes my video on the Western Reds tonight. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please give it a like. If you're enjoying the channel and all the videos that I'm making, please subscribe to the channel. Click that notification bell so you get a new email when I do a new video. And if you have some spare time or some spare moments throughout the day, go over to Rugby League History. That's my Facebook page, and I also run the Instagram page as well. I'll put a link in the description below for those. But as always, everyone, look after yourselves. Catch us all later. Tatty bye.